Chapter 3. Warm sheets, soft breathing, a familiar perfume, sweet, floral, a summer blue memory that wrapped itself around Jake's senses before he even opened his eyes. His body rested in a way it hadn't in years, sinking into a mattress that felt like some forgotten safety. A woman's fingertips traced slow, playful shapes across his chest. "Miss me?" she whispered. Jake smiled, eyes still closed. That voice, that tone. He knew it instantly. Mindy. He opened his eyes to her blonde hair spilling over his shoulder, her smile breaking soft and teasing like sunlight slipping through blinds. She wore the navy blue dress he loved, the one she always joked made her feel dangerous but cute. Jake laughed quietly, hands settling on her hips as she climbed over him, seating herself on his waist with a familiar confidence. It felt real. Too real. He hadn't seen her like this in years, the version of her before things fell apart, before the fights, before the insecurities, before their wreckage. "You look good," he murmured. "You look happy," you replied. She replied, brushing her thumb across his cheek as if memorizing him. "I am," he said, breath catching. "I don't know why, but yeah, I'm happy." She leaned in and kissed him, slow, warm, the kind of kiss that always turned his knees to water. He sank into it, letting himself pretend he hadn't screwed everything up, letting himself pretend he could still feel this without guilt clinging to his ribs. God, he missed her. "Jake," Mindy whispered against his lips. He kissed her again, smiling. "Yeah?" Her fingers slid into his hair. "Don't drift," she said softly. "You always drift." He frowned a little. "What do you mean?" But she didn't answer. The sunlight shifted, not naturally, too fast, like someone dimmed a switch. The bedroom behind her blurred at the edges, colors smudging into each other as if painted on wet canvas. Jake blinked, his stomach tightened. "Mindy?" She stayed on top of him, smiling sweetly, yet something in her eyes flickered. Wide, then narrow, then soft again, like a frame skipping. He pushed up on his elbows. "Hold on." The room pulsed. A low hum vibrated through the air, subtle but wrong, like the world breathing out of sync. Mindy leaned down, resting her forehead against his. "Stay with me," she whispered. Jake swallowed. "I am." But his voice felt too loud, like it bounced back from somewhere far away instead of this room. A wave of memories struck without warning, sharp enough to make him flinch. A slamming door. His mother crying in the kitchen. A man yelling about bills. A different man 2 months later. And another. And another. His mother saying, "Baby, people leave. It's just what they do." He hadn't thought about that in years. His breath hitched. Mindy stroked his cheek again, but her hand felt colder. "You're slipping," she whispered. "What?" He sat up fully now. "Mindy, what are you talking about?" She tilted her head, smiling like nothing was wrong, but her pupils widened unnaturally, two deep wells where warmth should have been. "Michael," she whispered. Jake froze. The whole room fell silent. "What did you just call me?" he asked. Mindy's smile didn't break. Her fingers traced his jaw with unsettling tenderness. "Michael," she repeated. Jake shook his head. "No, no, that's not." But the walls flickered again, the bed trembling beneath him. Mindy's face blurred, and for one split second, auburn hair flashed in place of blonde. A different woman's silhouette, tear-stained cheeks. Veronica. Jake's heart slammed against his ribs. This isn't real," he whispered. Mindy's smile finally faltered, eyes softening into something almost grieving. "You always wake up too soon," she said gently. The floor cracked like thin ice. The air collapsed around him. Jake gasped, and the world snapped. He shot upright with a violent inhale. Cold air hit his skin. Real. Sharp, unforgiving. He wasn't in a bedroom. He wasn't with Mindy. He wasn't anywhere safe. He laid half reclined on a small couch, old, worn, smelling like lavender and stale basement air. His head pounded, swimming with dizziness. A blanket slid off him, thin and scratchy. His wrist tingled. His ankle, a thick iron shackle dug into his skin, bolted to a short length of chain drilled directly into bare, cold cement. Jake's breath vanished. A shadow hovered over him. Soft fingers brushed through his hair. "Michael," a voice whispered, too close, too intimate to deny. He turned his head, dread clawing up his throat. Veronica knelt beside him, her eyes bright with relief and something far darker. Her smile trembled like she'd been waiting a long, painful time for this exact moment. "There you are," she murmured, stroking his cheek with her fingertips. Jake's pulse pounded in his ears. "My name," he rasped, "is Jake." Her smile widened. "No," she whispered lovingly, possessively. She leaned closer, her breath warm against his ear. "Welcome back, Michael." Chapter 4. Darkness peeled back in slow, dragging layers. Jake's eyes opened, but the world didn't sharpen. It throbbed. Light smeared into long streaks, melting into each other like wet paint. His pupils swallowed everything, huge and black, turning the room into a dizzy blur of shapes and soft shadows. A pulse hammered behind his eyes, sickening and deep. His limbs useless. His body heavy, soaked in cement. He tried lifting a hand, it barely twitched. He wasn't hungover. He knew hangovers. This felt like poison wearing his skin. His breath trembled out of him in a dry, broken rasp. Easy, a voice cooed. Easy, baby. You always wake up too fast. Veronica's silhouette drifted into focus, kneeling near him, but not close enough to touch. Her smile was soft, sweet, painfully gentle, and all wrong. She reached out like she might brush his cheek, then thought better of it, folding her hands under her chin. Look at those eyes, she whispered. So dilated. You were always like this, Michael. Waking up slow, looking confused. You're still adorable. Jake swallowed hard, but his throat burned like sandpaper. His voice cracked against the air. My name is Jake. She giggled, a soft, airy sound that made his skin crawl. Oh, honey, the confusion's still strong. That's okay. We'll get you back where you belong. Jake tried pushing himself up. His arms shook violently, barely lifting his shoulders off the couch before he collapsed again. Sweat prickled down his spine. Veronica watched the struggle with a kind of fond wonder. You weren't alone last night, she said lightly. I saw your friend, Bryan. Jake's heart stopped mid-beat. What? How do you know Bryan? She shrugged playfully. He seems very nice. Something vibrated in the air. Tap, tap, tap. A sound he knew instantly. His notification tone, his phone. Jake's breath caught in his chest. Veronica slid Jake's phone from behind her back with a proud little smile, thumbs tapping across the screen like she was writing a grocery list. Unlocked too, she said. Michael, really? You've always been careless. The phone blooped again. Message sent. Jake's blood ran cold. Are you texting Bryan? What the hell are you doing? He croaked. Her grin widened at his panic, but she stayed far, far out of reach, right at the edge of the room where his chain stopped. I'm just saying hello, she said sweetly. He's very polite. I like polite people. Jake's stomach twisted. His throat tightened with rage and helplessness. Heat washed over him. Anger, nausea, fear, all crackling together. His pulse sprinted so fast he felt dizzy. His chest tightened. His hands trembled violently. Every breath came shallow and sharp, barely filling his lungs. Let me go, he snarled. Let me go, you crazy bitch. The words tore out of him like a wound, and Veronica froze. Utter stillness, like someone cut the strings holding her up. Her smile melted. Slowly, not into anger, into heartbreak. Michael, she whispered, voice shaking. We talked about that word. Jake tried to push himself upright again, rage giving him momentum. His legs buckled beneath him, but he forced them to hold him anyway. He lunged. 5 stumbling steps, a yank, the chain snapped tight around his ankle. He nearly face-planted into the cement. Veronica didn't even flinch. You always yelled at me, she said softly. Every time you got scared, every time you drifted, you said horrible things. Her eyes glistened as if tears were gathering. Do you remember what it did to me? I'm not, Jake gasped, sweat dripping down his jaw. Michael, her expression smoothed. A calm, eerie smile lifted her lips. Yes, you are. Then she moved. Not frantically, not angrily, just resolved. She opened a small wooden cabinet by the far wall and reached inside with delicate fingers. Jake's breath hitched when he saw the object she pulled free, a metal canister with chipped yellow paint. What is that? Veronica looked back at him with warm, reassuring eyes. It's what I use when you get too loud, she said. It helps you reset. She pulled the pin. Wait, Veronica, don't. Her voice floated through the dim, sweet as ever. It won't kill you, she whispered. It just keeps you soft. She tossed it. The hiss came first, then the burn. Jake choked instantly, eyes searing with white-hot pain, his body seized, curling toward the floor. His throat clenched shut as each breath dragged in fire, ripping down into his chest. His nose flooded. Tears poured uncontrollably. A raw, violent cough racked through him hard enough to bruise ribs. Mucus streamed. He gagged, retched, clawed blindly at the floor as the world spun into a kaleidoscope of agony. His skin felt like it was peeling. His lungs felt like collapsing bags of needles. He collapsed, cheek hitting cold cement. His vision stuttered, fading at the edges. Over the ringing in his ears and the tearing coughs, he heard her voice, soft, gentle, unbearably close. "Rest now, Michael," she whispered. "We'll fix you again soon." The world dissolved. Jake went under,